sleeping. There we go. So welcome. Nice to see you. Like it says, oh, here it says so, right behind me. Welcome. We're here. It's Leading with Clarity, this very powerful 1 hour. We'll see how long it takes. It could even take less than an hour. It depends, since we're a small group. So we're going to make it powerful. My intention is here to share value and have fun. That's pretty much it. Those two things. I'm all about sharing value and having fun. So I hope you enjoy. If anytime you do have questions, something to add, please do so, since we are such a tight group here. So we'll do that. Now I have to find my, oh, there it is. I'm going to share the screen. I did do a present. Oh, here you see. I'm sharing a screen of my daughter's wishes. Hold on. I think that's what you see right now, right? Oh, here we go. Leading with Clarity. So I'm going to keep it simple, since it is a very compact 1 hour, 60 minutes at the top. We're only going to talk about, what does it mean, leading with clarity? What is behind this? From my perspective, it could be different from what you have been thinking about with leading with clarity. And you're welcome to add your own spice to it. So let's go. I want to start with breathing, because that's how anything and everything will get you to the moment. Your breath is always in the present moment. It cannot be anywhere else. And that's why we use the breath, just to take one deep breath. And Sophia, if you're driving, please don't close your eyes, because that might be dangerous. So if you can, just close your eyes, shake your arms, and do whatever movement that you need to do to like relax and just get comfortable. Whether you're standing, whether you're sitting, get comfortable. And then let all the air out first. And then take one deep breath in through your nose. And hold it at the top. Take a little bit more. And slowly breathe out through your mouth. It takes longer than the breath in. We just do one. That's sometimes all it takes to really get to the present moment. So that's how I want to start. I start usually sessions with clients and everyone like this, also for me, because I need to be in the present moment. So agenda today, introduction. I'm just going to quickly introduce myself. Story. I'm going to tell you a story. It's a short one. And why I'm going to say, why is it relevant? We do a little exercise. And then we go a little bit deeper and share, and then we wrap it up. That's it. Short, compact, and yeah, here we go. So who is Paula? This list of words is in no other order than to make it visually appealing. So I like visually appealing words, and therefore this is the shape. I'm an entrepreneur, and this is very current. I am an entrepreneur. I have my own business. I do coaching. I'm a speaker, a mother. I have 2 beautiful children. I'm a coach. I'm an artist. Yes, I do paint by commission only, because I simply do not have any space here at home to store anywhere any paintings. I have too many. I'm a dancer. That's what I still call myself. I was trained as a ballet dancer, and I still do ballet classes just for fun every once in a while. I love it. And I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor of depression and burnout. And that is a big part of my story and how I serve, where I serve from. And I am a much, much, much more thing. So of course I'm more than just this. I'm a dog owner. I'm an ex-wife. I'm a friend, a sister, a daughter, and so much more. Just like you are so much more than just a list of a few words. And my story comes from Finland, and it has so far not ended up, but for right now, for the past 22 years, been in Switzerland. So here I am, went to study in America and ended up here in Switzerland many years ago for just 1 year. That was the thing. I came here to try 1 year, and here it is 22 years later, and I'm still here. So I guess I like the place, I would say. And a lot of things have come to me being a coach here. First of all, it was a dream many years ago, a dream that I had where I thought, well, how could I ever? And then everything happened with the kids, with marriage, with depression. And here we are. And I found myself coaching. Did not realize I did it, but I was doing it. Someone said so. And I was like, boom, here we are. And I love serving people. I love serving very clearly and simply about clarity, because clarity for me is at the essence, the core of me being able to hold myself in a good space of energy, in a good space with joy that will keep me healthy in every way possible. And that is at the core of everything that I do for me, for everyone else. There we go. That's a little bit about me. And now we go to the story. I actually wrote this down. It's not really that big of a story, but I thought I would read it to you so it sounds like a story. So this story goes back more than 3 years. In December 2019, January 2020, rumors started spreading of this vicious virus coming from China. Something that was spreading like wildfire, and that was sending many people to the hospitals and even to death. You all know what I'm talking about. This was the start of the pandemic that we all know. What happened next was comparable to nothing we had ever experienced. Absolute uncertainty. Nobody knew much about the virus itself. There was no protocol to follow, no guidelines, no experience to draw from. Not at this level or at this scale. It's global. Chaos worldwide. So leadership at all levels, country leaders, companies, schools, families, communities, everything, were just as clueless as everyone else. Yet someone had to decide something and give something to do to the general public, desperately looking for guidance and instructions. How on earth do you give instructions when everything is so uncertain? And you as a leader are just as clueless and also scared, just like everyone else. So what happened was not becoming more certain about the future, but becoming more clear on the next step. Giving people a first step, something to do. And the message was pretty much worldwide, stay home. Step 1, stay home. There was no step 2. Step 1, stay home. And it's almost every country in the world had the same message. Every company, every school, every family, community, everything. That simple message provided clarity. It provided people with instructions, the next step. People were and are looking to leaders for a piece of clarity at all times, and especially in times of massive uncertainty like this pandemic. They are looking for that first step. They are looking for honesty and hope. They're looking for someone who says, look, I don't know either, but I know what the first step is, and that's to stay home in this case. You as a leader do not need to know what the following steps are. And the more open and transparent you can be about that, the more people trust you because you're clear. And that is the essence why leading with clarity, why we're here. Leading with clarity is leadership. Clarity is leadership. You can't provide certainty, but you can provide clarity. So that's the start to this story. This story is on a big scale, but there are a lot of stories that come in a smaller scale, individual scale, And I'm just telling you this today because today this happened to me, where there was uncertainty that came out of nowhere, yet I had to, on the spot, come up with the first step, and that was with my son. I didn't write down this story because it happened today. He came home in the middle of school day, crying. And I was like, what's going on? He said he got mobbed at school. And I was like, all right. He tells me his story, and my brain is going wild. However, I cannot go wild in front of him. He's my son. He's 12 years old. He looks up to me as his leader, in this case, his mother. So I had to come up with the first step. And the first step was like, look, let's go back to school together. We're going to go back to school. And that's the first step, to get this out of the way, to get sorted out, and to figure out the next step, step number 2. So that's what we did. And this is a very real example in a very small scale in our little world here, but does have a huge impact on me and my son, both. So small scale, big scale, it's the same. You cannot provide certainty, but you can provide clarity. And that was a brilliant statement I got from this, actually a sermon that I listened to kind of by accident, but it really stuck with me. And clarity to have such first steps, it starts from within. So if you need to have clarity on the outside, like as a leader on any scale, there needs to be some level of clarity, some tools, some things that are working within you for you to be able to find clarity within yourself. It's key to having a clear mind, because it opens up gateways to confidence and joy. The more clarity you have, the more confident you feel about your next step, the confident you feel about saying something to someone else or showing an example, and the more joy you have, because the clutter inside will prevent you from noticing events or moments of joy. You have less thoughts, or at least you're able to let go of many of the thoughts that you have, which creates clarity. And less clutter to blur the view. It's core. Clear leadership builds trust, and it's just as simple as that. It is simple. Clarity is simplicity, and simplicity is clarity. And it's within. So when your mind is clear, you can hear, feel, see, and access your inner wisdom, which is there at all times. You will be able to see the next step, feel the next step, be able to say whatever it is that the next step is. Nadine just disappeared. So we're going to go to a little writing exercise, what I call a quick write, because it's quick, first of all. The reason why it's quick is to reduce thinking. So you do not get caught up with too many thoughts. You just let it go. And you keep writing. So just keep writing, even though you feel like, okay, I'm finished. No, just you've got 5 minutes to write. So, that's it. Keep writing all those 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be pretty. Doesn't have to be right, correct grammar, punctuations, anything. Just keep writing. And what I want you to write about is your story of leading with clarity. Now, either it's a story from your life, like I shared with my son from today, or it is perhaps even your reaction to the story that I told you about how COVID got started and the first step for most of us here on this planet. So there's 2 different ways of approaching this. Either it's a story from you where you find yourself, all right, well, in this moment in life, it was really clear. I was able to access that inner wisdom, and I was able to see the first step, even though there was so much uncertainty and things really seemed to be chaotic. But however, I was able to do that. So I hope you're ready. You ready, Sophia? You ready, Jasmine? I hope so. And I'm going to start. The time starts now. You got 5 minutes. Just keep writing. It doesn't matter where you start from. It can be from the middle of the story. Just keep writing. And I will tell you when the 5 minutes is over.
Can you write the question in the chat?
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry, I just had to get out of the screen sharing so I can see if Nadine is coming back. There you go. Your story of leading with clarity. Starting again. So welcome back. Hope you got some good words and ideas and things like that. I'm going to just start sharing again. Come back to the presentation. Oh, here we go again. There we go. So why I ask you to write is because this is the most powerful tool for anything that you do to collect tools into your toolbox for personal growth, is when you think of your own stories, when you come and you remember things that you have been through, you have experienced, you have felt, seen, heard, everything. And you take from those experiences, you take the lessons and you put those as tools to go further. Because there's always something that comes up. There's always situations, circumstances that could potentially throw you off a little bit. But when you have that toolbox from your own history, and sometimes, yes, of course, you learn from others' histories as well, but the most powerful tools come from you. And that is why these quick writes are quite powerful. It is one way of collecting tools for your own toolkit. So like here, why the story, the tools is a reminder. It's a source of strength. And it is a starting point for further clarity. For whatever you go for, leadership, just as a human being, we all need clarity. And it's easier when you got some tools, when you don't have to always come up in the moment, like, well, what should I do now? Well, what if you already had a toolbox? Some of my clients, they actually have these tools. They put them on little pieces of paper and they have a little jar and they put them in there as reminders. You don't necessarily even have to go and pick up a piece and to look, okay, what do I have in my past that will empower me, give me clarity right now? They already remember just because it was put on a piece of paper into that jar. So this is one way of remembering your own power, because you are more powerful than you think. And uncertainty is not your enemy. It is your opportunity. This is another great quote. I don't know who made this or said this, but it is totally so true and so simple. Uncertainty is always there because, yeah, we don't know what happens 5 minutes from now, let alone 50 years from now. So it is an opportunity when you see it that way. So we've kind of covered a little bit of these simple ways for more clarity. It's the space. Now, space as in already creating a space for you to be in nature or have an inspiring space at home, that space, and also creating time space for yourself, white space, white something where there's nothing planned. And that's where I mentioned here the 70% rule. What if you were to schedule only 70% of your time? Of your work time, for example, you got 40 minutes, 40 minutes, I wish, 40. Hello, Eduardo, he's here. So Eduardo, welcome. We were just discussing 3 simple ways for more clarity. One is the space. So 70% rule, this is very effective. You only schedule 70%. So whatever comes, you have flexibility. You're not going to go crazy and think, oh my God, I don't have any time. Or also to just allow clarity to have space. So not scheduled all the way through. You have some space for your thoughts, for creativity, and all the things that you need to have for a balanced and harmonious life. Writing. What we just did was 5 minutes of quick write. Writing creates distance, very literally. So even as a leader, when you write down your comments and writing as in using your hand, a lot of people nowadays like to use all kinds of devices, also good, but more effective is actually using your hand and physically moving it on paper. Very effective in creating a distance and so you see your thoughts on a piece of paper. And sharing. So sharing gives you perspective. It's another perspective on your thoughts that you share, because how you share your thoughts come from your intention, and your intention is not the same as whoever's listening. That is basically in every communication. Whenever we say, oh, it's a communication problem, it's often, well, our intention is different than the person who's hearing whatever we're saying. But that's also an opportunity to hear other perspectives, other ideas. And that's what we're going to do right now. Actually, we're here, and I would love for you guys to unmute and just share some thoughts of so far, and even, share what stuck with you so far, and what is something, maybe you have a question, or let me see what's in the chat. Yes, exactly, Eduardo. Now you can unmute yourself and we can all just share here, because we're a small group. We're not going to go into any kind of breakout rooms, because we're going to have like a breakout room alone. That's not fun. So let's make this a breakout room for us. So please unmute yourself. Sophia, yes. Eduardo, are you able to unmute yourself? Jasmine? Can you hear me?
I think she mentioned that she was in a background, like,
Yeah.
there's a lot going on around her.
Yeah. So Eduardo, you there? Exactly. We can't unmute it, but still. No, we can't hear you, Eduardo. So let's try, because this is being recorded. So I'm just going to keep talking and moving. So Sophia, tell me, please. And Eduardo, please feel free to write your comments. I mean, you just joined, but it's okay. Use the chat. So Sophia and I, we're going to have a conversation here. So now you have been writing. We created a space here, right? Now, what has stuck with you from this short amount of time that we've talked about leadership with clarity?
Honestly, the part about my story of leading with clarity and actually just sitting there and writing about it, it confirmed, I guess it dawned on me as well, and some of the things were confirmed, but so as long as I lack clarity on the inside, then obviously I'm not exactly exuding clarity on the outside, right? And that has affected. There has been clarity lacking for some time. And I think I achieved more clarity than ever early this year. After having written my first book and as a result, having released a lot of trauma, or even recognizing that there is more trauma than I thought, right? So some of it was released just from this writing, typing out my story and all that. And then it led me to seek more healing, which allowed for things to become more clear. So grossly underestimated the power of clarity, right? Grossly. And so your story earlier, when you mentioned regarding the drastic global shift, even though, you know, we could sit there and agree, disagree, whatever, about what the messages were and when and how, whether I agree with the message or not, it was still pretty darn clear. Stay home. Or whatever else, you know, it was clear. It was very clear. And I haven't been that clear. So I mean, I haven't for a long time. I am more so now, but I'm recognizing that there's room to be even more clear. Like literally like a 4-word sentence or whatever, clear, kind of clear. You know what I mean? Like make it even more. So now that I'm more clear on the inside about what I want my message to be, how I want to serve, the books I want to write, all of it, right? The speeches I want to give, all of it. Now that I'm more clear about the purpose, about how I wanted to impact people and where I wanted to lead and all of these things, right? Now that I'm more clear, I definitely am more confident as a result. And I think even having, like, I feel like it's a vicious, I don't know, call it, it's not a vicious circle in this point, but it's like a loop either way. So having become more confident has led me to become more clear. Becoming more clear leads me to become more confident.
Well, isn't that how it usually goes? I'm so glad you mentioned that, because we did mention earlier that clarity is key to your confidence and to the finding those moments of joy. Now, that's something that in a lot of leadership positions, you don't really talk about so much joy. Well, humans live off of joy. Like, at least that's my mission in this world, is whatever I do, you know, just find moments of joy, because we're here to enjoy this world, and clarity helps in that confidence, joy, courageous actions, and to know what action to take, not the whole series of actions, but that first step, like we discussed earlier, like you said right now. Now, what was your story that you wrote in the quick write in the 5 minutes, if you wish to share?
Well, I was basically saying that it was missing for some time. The clarity was missing for some time. But now that I have become more confident in spreading my message, things have become more clear along the way. More clear on the inside, really. And then as a result, more clear things become on the outside when I'm talking to people, whether in an audio event, whether in a live stream, whether in promoting a product, whatever, right?
Yes.
I admit that a lack of clarity within me has likely led to my helping significantly less people than I would have liked to by now. And that's a huge disservice. So, and I'm not sitting there and like putting myself down, but I'm saying, wow, there's so many more people that could have benefited from my message and my being more clear, right? So
yeah, that is a lesson. That's a huge, huge lesson. So thank you so much for sharing. Now I'm going to read in the comments. I have a feeling people often confuse joy with happiness with fun and try to jump into fun instead of finding joy. There is a lot of joy hidden behind superb achievements, and those are often not fun, but rather hard. That is absolutely true. Fun and joy is not the same thing. Fun is fun. You know, for me, you go, well, maybe not for me. I don't like roller coasters, but if you like roller coasters, that's a fun ride, you know, that's fun. And maybe it's also a moment of joy, but moments of joy are everywhere and anywhere. They're also in moments that might not be fun, but maybe it's joyful. And that's, at least, I don't know, Eduardo, if you agree with that. Or sometimes the joy the moments of joy. Yes, you showed your thumb up. Thank you. So Sometimes the moments of joy are only visible to us after the fact that something has happened. It's like lessons from life. The 7 years that I had my depression were definitely at that moment of those times, not a lesson and no moments of joy. However, now that I'm on the other side, I do see a lot of lessons, a lot, and they keep coming over like more and more. And I do recognize the moments of joy because it was not only like deep in the whatever, deepest darkness, there are moments of joy as well. I mean, especially with my kids, which, yeah, definitely. So a lot of clarity comes with time as well. When you have the space, you have distance, and you have a new perspective. So sharing, even now, Sophia, you sharing here, and also Eduardo, has been really eye-opening. I also see new perspectives. I reflect on my own life when you share. So that is one way of coming more clear. That's why also people use advisors and coaches and have teams around them and discuss in family reunions, which, well, for some are relaxing, from others, probably not. So that was the sharing part. Actually, I just didn't even go to this slide before, but here we are. I found this picture really funny. Clarity is perceived as leadership because it addresses uncertainty. And that, I think, is quite a profound statement. Again, I don't know who said this, but I got it from somewhere and I wrote it down, and it really is. The leadership for whatever, whether it's a country, company, family, community, whatever kind of teachers are leaders, whatever the leadership is, clarity is really at the core of everything, because that's what people look up for. They look up to their leader and say, what's next? What do I do? Especially when there's uncertainty. And there's always pretty much uncertainty because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. So that's the essence, and that is the core message of this session that we had. Is a very concise session, and anyone who has been listening to this in a replay, please remember to share with someone like we shared here, and because it really brings a lot of new ideas and a lot more clarity to you. Now, I have stuff going on, and something of that is with Sophia, who is here today. I have a clear leadership movement, a group program that's coming up in August, September, 3-week intense, diving deep into clarity and into that inner wisdom, using thought, consciousness, and mind. So it's those 3 principles that I use to go deep. I can share the link with you a little bit later. I was just creating it actually right before this program. Emotional Wealth Retreat. Now, this is a massive thing, an in-person retreat on Crete with Sophia, who is here in the house today. It is also in September. And I will also send you the link for this. Sharing is caring, Eduardo. Yes, exactly. That is it. And really, this statement, even though it seems like so many times used, but, well, it is just true. So use it as often as you wish. And my third offer is thought partnerships. That's what I now call them, is a one-on-one coaching programs that are customized. I do not have a 12-step standard program that works for everyone and then you become a joyful person. No, it's your journey. However many steps that takes, if it's 1, if it's 100, that's what we go for. So that's why it's called a thought partnership instead of 12-step program for more joyful life or more clarity or whatever it is. Yes, so those are the 3 things that I do right now that I concentrate on. There's a lot of other things too, but I did not want to, I want to keep it clear here too. That's why it's here. And I wish to say thank you. It has been 40 minutes, But I think that we are like, the official part is now over, and I would like to have questions or comments or anything that you'd like to share, because sharing is caring, like you said, Eduardo. If you feel like sharing something here when it's to do with clarity and leadership and how that influences your life right now, how has it been for you previously, what it means for you going forward, please do so. If you do, write it in the comments. I will share it here. I will read it out. And Jasmine, if you have a second or two to, I know you got some stuff going on in the background, but if there's a way to share a couple of words, please do so, as well as Sophia. Keep, if you want to share something about how clarity has influenced you, for example, in creating the retreat that I mentioned. That might be very influential.
Well, I just do really want to point out that sometimes less is more.
Mm-hmm.
And this is quite an example. In becoming more clear, well, ultimately, because like the less the less fluff, the less you complicate matters in your mind, the less you overthink, right? The more clear you are. And took me some time to realize that, but then even now, this is very helpful. Even in terms of like the messaging moving forward regarding this retreat that you bring up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So our 6-day emotional wealth retreat by the sea in Crete, pretty straightforward, right? But at the same time, not a lot of people are not familiar with what emotional wealth even means. So then I started wondering, okay, we don't necessarily have to revamp the title, but definitely make things more clear in the messaging, since a lot of people know what emotional wealth means. It's one thing if they couch it on us going live on LinkedIn and talking about it, or on one of my audio events, right? Since there's a couple of those a week. But otherwise, if someone just gets directed to the site, I was just asking to myself, is it clear enough what emotional wealth even means? Because it's pretty clear as to like what you're gonna get and what how you're going to feel, right? And the promise really that you're going to feel lighter, free, and alive while you're there and coming out of there, and then being equipped with practical and powerful strategies to carry on feeling this way, right? Coming into your last quarter and coming into, well, the rest of your life, really, because it doesn't mean that these will just apply to you being more productive and performing in your last quarter. But I'm really realizing that the message isn't clear enough. And this is very helpful right now. So thank you.
Yes,
this
thank
retreat's going to
you.
be kick-ass. That part, I don't know how much more clear I can make. That retreat's going to be kick-ass. And, the experience is going to be out of this world. What's the transformation that will take place in such an immersive experience? Oh, I know it. I feel it in every being in my body, but I need everybody else to feel it in every being of their body too. And I'm recognizing that I need to become more clear for that, right?
Yes,
So,
sometimes simplicity creates clarity.
yeah.
That's at least something that I do. And actually, I was just going to share, Jasmine just said or wrote, one of my favorite quotes about clarity is the compass that guides us through the fog of uncertainty. Exactly. That is the point. That's the whole conversation that we've had today. Is also, it is the compass. You it's not just, sometimes it seems too simple to be easy, or the simplicity it's simple, but it might not be so easy because there's a resistance to following the compass and trusting it. I think that's the key word also, to trust that it's right, and trust that you don't have to come up with the next 10 steps, just that one. And consistency. This is also something like, come up with that one step. And if that's something that you need to repeat and keep doing, well, stay consistent. Consistency is very, very key in also clarity. And then trust comes into play in a big way, because you might not see something happening for a long time, but just keep doing it. Like I just read this, some kind of anecdote about somebody hammering on a rock, and it, you know, the people who split like huge pieces of rock, well, you might not see a lot happening, but after however many blows onto the rock, it will split. And it might seem like that one last hit on the rock split it apart, but it was actually all those thousands of times that you hammered on it that made it happen. And it was just that last one that was the one that was like needed to then crack it open. And Eduardo wrote, for me, it has also a lot to do with understanding your audience. You probably talked about it earlier. Addressing your team is different than addressing your peers or sponsors. So clarity for whom? We need to consider that. Exactly. Actually, yes, we kind of touched on that, but in a bigger scale. It is different, yet clarity, that first step, it's the same. Like in the beginning, I shared about the story about how COVID started. That was a big scale, but also on small scale. That would be all the scales, I guess, because it was on a family level up to country and planet level, right? So, and there, the first step was stay home. Nobody knew anything else, but the message was clear. That first step was clear, and people said, all right, that's clear, let's stay home. And now to scale it down, and then maybe that first step is different when it is with different groups of people, whether it's people that you are leading in a company, whether it's a teacher who is leading a class of students, whether it's a mother or father leading their family. It's all these different roles of leadership. Even if you don't have kids, there's leadership in the family, in the relationship with your parents, leadership with a dog too, I would have to say. So yes, thank you. When you are in a situation where you need to find clarity, I'm just going to go into this clarity for whom. You know who you're going to be addressing. You know who you seek clarity for, as an example. So if you have your team in your company and they seem to be, and everybody's kind of like not clear, it's your task is to have your team clear, to your team to have that first step. And their task then is to spread that clarity to whoever teams they might have, the people they might have. So I think that's, hopefully that answers a little bit of your thoughts, your questions, Eduardo. And yes, thank you. So anything else, either from the text side or from the Sophia side?
Honestly, no, I'm really grateful for this reminder, really. I mean, it's not just a reminder. There's things I did, learn. And I can't wait to make my message more clear where emotional wealth is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
When I stop and think, the words like stay home, right? Even my Instagram handle, it's be alive, feel alive. Like be period, feel period, alive. Like, sorry, be alive with periods in between, feel whatever, right? So be period, alive. That's my cat, by the way. Period, feel, period, alive. Be alive, feel alive. So at the end of the day, when I stop and think, when we're sitting there and inviting people to these retreats, whether it's this big one in September or this virtual one I'm doing on Saturday, or all these other mini ones I want to do throughout the year, and right, ultimately, what am I telling them? Be alive, feel alive. So it's like, I mean, I don't know how clear that could be, but it's pretty succinct, right? Mm-hmm. Need more clarity? Maybe, yeah, because then again, people might not know what that means, right? But I think I'll get them to think, what does that even mean? Am I being alive? Am I feeling alive? Like, do I even, so to a certain extent, it's like shorten it, just keep it short and simple. And then that will get questions going. And that's fine, because as clear as you are, there's still going to be questions. We were told stay home, but we still had questions.
Oh, yes.
Right? Oh, but can I leave? Can I still, what about if I'm just going to the corner to pick up? You know what I mean? So it was pretty darn clear, but at the end of the day, it still got me thinking. It still had me wondering. Some people maybe not at all, but a lot of us had some questions. So Yeah, not to get too caught up on it. Be as clear as possible. Don't get too caught up on it. Be prepared to then have a more clear explanation. So if it's not that short, make sure it's clear, even if it's a few sentences long and 2-3 words.
Exactly, like we mentioned before, simplicity. So simple, that is a pretty simple message. And with everything, messages, whenever you deliver a speech or you are writing a book, make the message simple. Writing posts on social media, make it simple.
And I just realized, even the title of my book, how much more simpler can it get? Depression doesn't discriminate.
Mm-hmm.
Even if somebody doesn't read the book, the title in itself is so darn clear. Like,
Yes, exactly.
That's it. It's 3 words. Doesn't get more clear than that. Even if you don't read where I'm coming from with this and what I've experienced or what I propose, just know that depression doesn't discriminate. Boom. I realized how I am very clear in certain areas, and I just got to tweak some others. So
now you can do another quick write of 5 minutes and you jot down all those things where you were absolutely clear, where forever in your future right now, you can always go back to those events where you were absolutely clear that you now recall. And as you know, the more you think about them, the more of these memories come to your mind, and you have all this arsenal of tools that you can use in moments of uncertainty and unclarity in the future, where you feel like, all right, well, what can I use? What tool can I use? Well, you got all the tools. You got them all inside of you. And you just pulled out a few there. So you're doing good. Keep writing. So thank you so much, everyone who was here and everyone who's watching the replay. Please stay in touch. And yes, Jasmine, thank you so much. You need to pop out. We're just about finished. And really, thank you for being here. Kiitos. Jasmine is from Finland, so I can say that, and she knows what I mean. That was thank you in Finnish. So, you know. So thank you all. I'm going to stop sharing now. Hold on, if I can get the mouse to work.